You know, I recently have been taking mushrooms with my wife and going on different adventures. And the first adventure that we went on actually was to go to the Kid Cudi concert. And we just took like a little bit so we weren't like freaking out in public and stuff like that. But, you know, we took enough so we'd be there. And when we first left and we went to get in the Uber, you know, to get the ride to the show, the first like 15 minutes were very chill. You know, it was a very chill time. I get in the car and the Uber driver, he's listening to like some Lecrae or something like that. And I'm like, oh, this guy listens to a lot of Christian rap. I can talk to him about that, you know, because it's important to talk to your Uber drivers to make sure that you don't get murdered, you know. So I was talking to him about the Christian music and everything, and then he was like, yeah, I listen to a lot of Christian rap, and I go to church, and I've been going to a lot of meetings, and the meetings have been helping me out a lot, because, you know, we all sin, you know, we're not perfect, but God loves us. And he said that, and I was like, oh, this is a beautiful thing, you know. And then as I looked out the window, everything slowly started to turn into like this cartoon cell shadiness. And I started to like feel as though the car was some sort of roller coaster. And I was in the roller coaster with this man, and the man in the front, now he's talking to me about God. And I started to lose concentration, but that's when my wife jumped in, you know, and she was like, you know, yeah, I mean, we're not perfect people either, but we both love Jesus, and, you know, I appreciate meeting fellow believers as we go out, you know, into the world. And she's really just, you know, she's saying all this stuff to the man or whatever, and I'm just sitting out there like, whoa, oh my goodness. And I'm like floating, you know, and my whole body is just waving up. And the man says, can I tell you guys something? And he turns the music down. And I'm like, oh my God. And he was like, recently me and my wife got separated. And I was hoping that you guys will keep me in your prayers, because it's very, very hard for me. And I was like, yeah, you know, and you pray for me too. But I couldn't tell him that it's like, pray for me, because I'm going into a different world. You know, I couldn't do that. But hey, you know, however you connect with people, you know, I was able to safely get there, and it was a good time, you know. So another thing that I've been doing on mushrooms is I have been watching the Star Wars saga. And it's crazy how differently it hits, because it's like, you know, like we watched 7 through 9, and we watched 1 through 3 so far. And what's crazy is that, like, if you watch 9, I mean, it's still the worst movie you've ever seen, but it's so beautiful, you know, like you don't know what the point of it is, but it feels like you watch something, you know, like it feels like you don't get the angry feeling that you would get, you know. But something interesting I noticed is that watching 1 through 3, I realized that I had taken a poor perspective on Darth Vader. I realized that in reality, Darth Vader was right all along. Because if you start out as a kid, right, and this man chooses you and he's like, oh, you're gonna be a Jedi, right? But within a couple of days of that man choosing you, that man gets murdered, and then his apprentice, who was supposed to be like, you know, his guy or whatever, now he has to train you. And then this man proceeds to just bitch you the whole time. You know, just keep like treating you like you're inferior and treating you like you're less the whole time. That's gonna awaken something in you that you're not gonna be able to really control, especially if you had the force on the level that Anakin did. You know, like if you watch the second movie, he's getting so frustrated with Obi-Wan Kenobi and like him not putting him in the position or treating him the way he feels like he needs to be treated or whatever. And it's starting to make sense, you know, like, oh, this is real anger, but it comes from, you took me from my mom, I'm trying to find my purpose, and you're not really helping me along that way. You're kind of like stopping me at every turn, you know, and they're not really letting them grow, you know? And then you get to the point of the third movie where Anakin is out, he finds out, I don't even know, yeah, was that, no, that might have been in the second movie, I don't care. Anyways, he finds out about his mom and what was going on with his mom, right? And what's crazy is, you would think, oh no, you shouldn't murder men, women, and children, you know, like that he was telling them because he hated the people and he killed all the men, women, and children or whatever. These people, when he found his mom tied up in run a train position. Like, I mean, I'm not, if you look at the way, like, okay, she's in there, she's tied up like this to the back, okay? She feels the force of him coming, she's like, oh, my son. But they had her tied up like in a way where obviously this is the way you tie somebody up to violate them. You see what I'm saying? So imagine you find your mom like this. It's going to awaken a darkness in you that's going to enable you to do this sort of stuff. So he's already spiraling. You feel me? And then they turn around and they want to tell him, oh yeah, you on the Jedi Council, but you're not a Jedi Knight. Like any little thing that they could put little increments, you know? And then Palpatine sees this coming, and he's like, yo, you could come over here because they're not even treating you, doing you right over there. They're not even giving you the right stuff. And he's scared of loss and all these other things or whatever. He had already lost his arm by the third movie, okay? They had already bitched him out all these different times and they're not giving him his position, okay? So then when he goes with Palpatine, I'm coming to my point here, he goes with Palpatine, ends up on the other planet, now he's fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi, right at the end of the third movie. Mind you, Anakin only has one arm. At the end of the fight, instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi just killing him, he cuts off his other arm and his two legs. Now imagine somebody becoming a quadriplegic and you watching this shit on mushrooms. How are you going to be on the other man's side? Will you check the vibes of that? Because Obi-Wan Kenobi just stood there and he said all this stuff. You were my brother, Anakin. You were this. If he was there, why'd you turn him into a quadriplegic instead of just killing him? If he was your brother, why would you sit there and watch him set on fire? Why don't you pull out a phaser or something and be like, you were my brother, you know, put him down. So in reality, what you think about is Palpatine comes and gets this man and rebuilds him a body and stuff. But it means to me, because now I have to watch, you know, the other movies, but it seems to me like this is about bullying a quadriplegic man who done lost all his family. You know, like, I mean, I know the scene when he finds Luke or whatever, and he's like, Luke, I am your father. And he didn't have a voice, he ain't got nothing, he's speaking through a little box. But imagine if he could say it in a regular voice. Luke, I am your father. You see what I'm saying? Like the hurt is not expressed because he has that deep voice all the time. But if he could get that hurt out, nigga, like he's a quadriplegic going around and fighting for what he believes in. How dare the other people try and stop him? How dare they get in his way? How dare when he's talking and stuff, people say, oh, well, Darth Vader, I think, a Of course you getting choked. How dare you interrupt a person that got no arms and legs? Nigga, who? That's my new catchphrase. Nigga, who? And I'm Robin. It just sounds good, you know, that's a great catchphrase. You can say anything, and then just end it with that, and people will feel you. You know what I'm saying? How you doing? I'm good. How about yourself? Shit. Nigga, who? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could mean anything. Like, I love it. The problem with it is, not everybody can say it. And it doesn't mean the same thing if you just go, whoo! And it's been gaining popularity around my house. By that I mean, I've said some stuff, and then my wife is gone, baby, aren't you gonna go, who? And I was like, what? And she was like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I thought that was a good time for you to say it. Oh, for me to say, nigga, who? Now you trying to get me to say it. And it started going into this weird place. And then I just flipped the switch and I went on with my day. Which brings me to a quote that we should start trying to use. Keep your switch turned down. That's the quote. Hey, my brother, keep your switch turned down. There are so many things out in the world that can trigger us, that'll upset us. We gotta figure out how to, bam, flip that switch down, and you keep it held down. You see what I'm saying? You hold that switch down, because life is always gonna come around with a little bit of something that's gonna try to flip you right back up. You see what I'm saying? Get you right back out of your mode. You know, the moment I open my eyes, I flip my switch down, because I know that if I turn on my phone and I look, there's something already in there designed to trigger me. And even if I don't do that, there's somebody waiting out here to trigger me. I went and I used the bathroom and took a shower and everything, got ready for my day one morning. I came out, and my wife was on the phone, and she turned around and she had been looking at something. She was laughing, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I just love watching people get arrested for no reason." And I looked at her and I said, "Okay, white wife, mwah." And I gave her a kiss and I walked out, because I'm keeping that switch flipped down. I don't want to figure out what she meant by that. I don't want to know what the situation was, because it could be something that'll turn me up. So I just walk away and I keep that thing down. And I'm rolling. Nigga, who? If my phone rings, I say, hope I don't have to put my clothes on for this, 'cause it is what it is. I'ma be rolling and be in my robe. You know, a couple of years ago, I was late for a flight to the airport, and I wear pajamas when I fly and stuff, so I don't have to like take all my stuff off, whatever, when I go through the checkpoint. And you know, now they have those things where you stand and you put your hands up and it goes around you, right? Well, when I got to that part, I'm standing there and I'm looking at the people, you know, waiting for them to let me through, and I'm watching as a TSA agent walks across like around the back part, and he comes over to the other agent, and he points and he's like, I'm gonna check him, we need to check him, which is weird because he wasn't where my scanner was. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I go along with it. I get up there, right? This man is about, I don't know, 6'2", 350. He's a larger man, okay? He's a large man. And he's like, all right, let me check you. And he gets down and he takes his hand and he just smashes my wiener against my leg as hard as he can. And it hurt a little bit. And then he smoothed down the leg, and then he did the same thing on the other side. And then he just went, you're good. And I stood there like, what? Why was I just violated just now? And I was already late for my plane, so I just had to kind of sit there and like process that and then move on, you know, and get on the flight. And maybe a few months ago, I was in the car with my dad and my sister, and we were going past the airport, and I was thinking to myself about something else, but then all of a sudden I looked up and I said, the TSA man molested me in there. He touched me in there. You know, I just blurted it out. And my sister turned around and said, now why would you say something like that? And she didn't believe me. And it was at that moment I realized how easy it is for somebody to have something happen to them and have people not believe them, and how dangerous that can be, you know? And it saddened me. But also it put me on my path to revenge. So if I ever get rich, I'm gonna look that person up, I'm gonna figure out who it was, I'm gonna look him up, and I'm gonna hire that guy. Because he won't know that he molested me. He probably does this to thousands of people every day, just fondling and doing whatever. But he could be my security guard. And I'll tell him, you do all the pat downs. Because the same thing that goes for like when a man gets touched, it's the same way with like pettiness, you know. So if I ever got to any level of success, I know that there are people waiting in the weeds with a little bit of pettiness to come up and say something to me, try to make my day go bad or remind me of something that I don't want to remember, right? So I'm gonna be a very nice person. I'm not gonna change the way that I am. But if I see somebody who has, you know, maybe a negative vibe or whatever heading towards me, I'm gonna say, hey, pat that guy down. And then after he gets molested, he can come and talk to me about whatever he wants to. Because I know what happened, and he knows what happened. And maybe he's not going to deal with it. I don't know. That's a thought. It's something I can do. Rolling. Oh, I'm rolling. I said I'm rolling. When somebody texts me, and they ask me why I didn't write them back, I say, I'm sorry, I ran out of text messages. Like, that's the easiest way to go about it. You know, and then they say, what does that mean? Say, I have unlimited internet. I don't have unlimited text. Nigga, who? Keep on rolling in a free world. and he ran track. And when I must have been like a sophomore or something, and he was a senior, and I had to meet him on the field. He was gonna give us a ride, drive us home, and DJ was out on the track with two other guys, and he had his Vans on, and he's talking so much shit to him. He's like, oh, y'all can't beat me, y'all ain't never gonna beat me, da 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 da, right? And then DJ turned around and he said, as a matter of fact, y'all can keep y'all track cleats on, and I'll race y'all in my Vans, and we'll see who can win right now. And they lined up, and they raced, and surely enough, DJ beat them in his regular shoes. And that was so wild to me. I was like, oh, this guy's really fast. You know, he has a lot of determination. He turns around, he looks at me, he said, come on, John, let's get out of here. And he runs around, and we go around the corner. We're going through the bungalows or whatever, headed towards the parking lot. And as we turn around the corner, he just falls down on the ground. And he's like, ugh. And he just throws up on the ground right there. And when he's finished throwing up, without pausing, he just looks up at me and he says, John, that's just part of it. And while it was disgusting, obviously, it was also deeply inspirational to me, because I think that, like, no matter what, you know, those boys will have to have been beat. And he has to, you know, while he privately has to deal with having grown up, if you can accept that that's just part of it, I guess winning is okay. You know, I think if the goal was to win, then you accept the things that come with it, you know? And I'm doing these so that I can kind of find an inner rhythm, you know, so I can find sort of a monologue or things that will stick with me. Like, I'll go back and I'll look at these and I'll say, oh, this is a good joke, or this is a good bit, or a good pretense for something, or whatever. But it's ugly and it's sloppy, but it's part of it. And that's what I tell myself, you know? Because I know that if I keep going in this way, even though people have all the cleats and people have all the training or whatever, comparatively speaking, even though comparison is the killer of joy, I can still find joy in knowing that I will advance, you know? I don't think that art is a race to any sort of place or anything like that, but I know that I have to develop and keep my hours and keep my confidence. And so this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to just keep on rolling. You know, I'm going to stay in my road. Hopefully I won't have to put on clothes. Hopefully I can stay in my road. Hopefully go to where the gang go. Hopefully I'm winning with my gang though. Thank you.